ever dreamed of soaring through the skies. Well, today's deep dive is for anyone aiming for the pilot seat, specifically helicopters.
We're dissecting the ins and outs of helicopter pilot interviews
Going beyond the basics.
to give you a real edge,
You've shared some sample interview questions with us.
plus some fascinating career guides from RoleCatcher
Think of us as your co-pilots navigating these resources.
to extract the most valuable insights.
Now, RoleCatcher, it's a career development platform that uses AI.
AI tools,
To tailor resumes
cover letters.
and practice interview responses.
It's like having a personalized flight simulator for your career.
I like that.
Let's start with a question that often kicks off these interviews.
Okay.
What inspired you to pursue a career as a helicopter pilot?
Seems simple enough, right? You just talk about your love of flying.
Not quite.
Okay.
The interviewer is digging for something more.
Like what?
They want to see your passion,
Uh-huh.
your dedication to this specific field.
Right.
A generic answer like, I've always loved flying, won't cut it.
Okay.
Think about what sparked that passion.
Hmm.
A specific experience.
Okay.
A person you met.
Yeah.
A moment of awe.
Right. So instead of saying, I've loved helicopters since I was a kid,
Right.
maybe talk about a time you saw a helicopter rescue on the news
Exactly.
and how that inspired you to use your skills to help others.
Paint a vivid picture.
Okay.
For example, you could say, when I was 15, I witnessed a helicopter airlifting injured hikers from a remote mountain area.
Wow.
The precision and skill involved, the ability to reach places no other aircraft could,
Yep.
it just captivated me.
Yeah.
That's when I knew I wanted to be a helicopter pilot.
Mhm.
Not just for the thrill of flying,
Yeah.
but to make a real difference in people's lives.
That's a much more compelling story than just stating a fact.
Right.
Now, you mentioned potential follow-up questions earlier.
Yes.
What might the interviewer ask to dig a little deeper?
They might ask about your favorite type of helicopter and why,
Okay.
or what you find most challenging about flying.
These are chances to showcase your knowledge and personality.
So RoleCatcher mentions that there are so many career paths within the helicopter pilot field.
Oh, absolutely.
Some pilots become flight instructors, while others specialize in things like aerial firefighting or offshore operations.
That's a great point to bring up.
Yeah.
You can weave it into your answer to show you've thought about your career trajectory.
So let's say you're interested in becoming a flight instructor.
Okay.
You could say something like, while I'm excited about all aspects of helicopter piloting, I'm particularly drawn to the idea of sharing my knowledge and passion with future generations of pilots.
Nice.
I believe being a flight instructor would be incredibly rewarding.
That shows foresight and adds another dimension to your answer.
Now, this is where RoleCatcher's AI tools come in.
Oh, yeah.
They can analyze your resume and suggest specific skills and experiences to highlight.
Based on the job you're applying for.
Exactly. So you can tailor your answers to different roles
All right.
and make sure you're hitting the right notes.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. How do you stay up to date with the latest helicopter technology and regulations?
This one's about demonstrating your commitment to continuous learning,
Okay.
something incredibly important in such a rapidly evolving field.
Mm.
The interviewer wants to see that you're proactive, not just relying on mandatory training to keep your knowledge current.
It's like staying current on your aircraft's maintenance log, right?
Exactly.
You can't just assume everything's fine.
Right.
You need to actively check and stay informed.
Now, a weak answer here would be simply mentioning those mandatory training sessions.
Okay.
You need to show you go above and beyond.
RoleCatcher's Helicopter Pilot Career Guide mentions several certifications that demonstrate your commitment to advanced skills,
Okay.
like the Airline Transport Pilot License
Right.
or a Certified Flight Instructor rating.
Yeah,
Bringing these up shows you're serious about professional development.
absolutely. Think about other ways you stay current.
Okay.
Do you subscribe to industry publications like Rotor and Wing magazine?
Okay.
Do you participate in online forums or attend industry conferences?
I bet the interviewer would be impressed if you mentioned you're part of a professional organization,
Yeah.
like the Helicopter Association International.
Definitely, you could say something like, staying current is crucial in this field.
Uh-huh.
Besides mandatory training, I subscribe to industry publications,
Okay.
actively participate in online forums, and attend conferences to learn about emerging technologies.
Yeah.
I'm also pursuing my certified flight instructor rating
Mm-hmm.
to deepen my understanding of flight instruction techniques.
Now that's a response that demonstrates a genuine commitment to professional growth.
It does.
What are your thoughts, listener?
Yeah.
What are some resources you use to stay informed about the latest developments in aviation?
And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your answers.
Right.
Their interview practice tool analyzes your responses,
Okay.
looking at things like your delivery, clarity, and the content itself. You'll get specific feedback on how to improve your answers.
That kind of feedback can be invaluable.
Oh, it is.
All right, let's shift gears to a question that often makes people nervous.
Okay.
How do you handle emergency situations while flying a helicopter? Things just got real, didn't they?
The key here is to remain calm
Okay.
and demonstrate your problem-solving skills under pressure.
Right.
The interviewer wants to see that you can think clearly and rationally, even in a high-stress situation.
So should you tell a story about a crazy emergency you once experienced?
Not necessarily. It's more about outlining your process.
Okay.
Focus on your training, your ability to assess the situation, prioritize actions, and follow safety protocols.
And this is where those certifications we mentioned earlier, like the instrument rating, become super valuable, right?
Exactly.
They demonstrate your ability to handle challenging scenarios.
And remember, honesty is key.
Okay.
Don't pretend you've never had a close call. Instead, focus on your preparedness and your commitment to safety.
So how would you structure a good answer to this question?
You could say something like, my primary focus in any emergency is the safety of my passengers and crew.
Okay.
I rely on my training to rapidly assess the situation, follow established procedures, and take appropriate actions to mitigate risks.
Okay.
While I haven't encountered every possible scenario,
Right.
I rigorously practice emergency procedures in simulations and stay informed about the latest safety protocols.
Yeah.
This constant preparation helps me stay calm and make rational decisions even under pressure.
That really emphasizes a cool head and a systematic approach.
It does.
What stands out to you, listener, about this question?
Yeah.
How would you approach describing your ability to handle pressure?
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can be your co-pilot here too.
Oh, right.
Their interview practice tool lets you record your answers to these tough questions and get personalized feedback. You can see how you come across, how well you articulate your thoughts, and get suggestions for improvement.
That kind of feedback can be invaluable.
Oh, for sure.
All right, let's move on to a question that focuses on a specific skill.
Okay.
Describe your experience with night flying.
This one is about gauging your comfort level and competency.
Okay.
In a more challenging flying environment, night flying demands heightened awareness,
Okay.
different visual cues, and a greater reliance on instruments.
And speaking of staying updated,
Yeah.
RoleCatcher highlights the importance of continuous learning,
Yes.
especially with advancements in night vision technology transforming the industry.
That's a great point. Mentioning your awareness of these advancements shows you're engaged and interested in evolving with the field.
So how would you recommend answering this question if you haven't logged a ton of night flying hours?
Focus on the quality of your experience rather than the quantity.
Okay.
Highlight any specialized training you've received, like your instrument rating, which is essential for night operations. Discuss your pre-flight preparations and the heightened attention you pay to weather conditions and navigation systems.
So instead of just stating the number of hours you've flown at night, you might say something like, while my night flying experience is still developing, I've been diligent in seeking out opportunities to enhance my skills.
Okay.
I hold an instrument rating and am meticulous in my pre-flight preparations,
Right.
paying particular attention to lighting systems and navigation equipment.
Yes.
I also prioritize thorough weather briefings to understand the unique challenges of night operations. I find night flying both challenging and rewarding,
Yes.
requiring a heightened level of focus and precision.
That's a great way to frame your experience.
What are your thoughts, listener, about night flying?
Yeah.
Does it seem exhilarating or daunting?
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you refine your answer.
Oh, right.
Their interview practice tool analyzes your responses and gives personalized feedback on things like clarity, conciseness, and how well you convey your skills.
That kind of feedback can be invaluable.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to a question that focuses on a crucial soft skill.
Okay.
How do you manage your workload and stay organized during flights?
This question assesses your ability to multitask,
Okay.
prioritize, and stay calm under pressure, all essential skills for a helicopter pilot.
Right.
Remember, you're not just controlling the aircraft, you're managing communications, navigation, fuel calculations, monitoring systems, and potentially dealing with unexpected situations all at once.
That's a lot to juggle.
It is.
In their career guide, RoleCatcher mentions that helicopter pilots often have to manage logistics.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when transporting passengers or cargo.
Right.
That adds another layer of complexity.
Absolutely. Now, the key here is to showcase your system for staying organized.
Okay.
Not to claim you're a superhuman multitasker who never gets stressed.
All right, so how could someone structure a strong answer to this question?
Focus on your process.
Okay.
You might say something like, effective workload management is essential for safe flying. I rely on a combination of pre-flight planning, clear checklists, and disciplined cockpit organization. Before each flight, I meticulously plan my route. Fuel calculations and any potential contingencies. During flight, I adhere to my checklists religiously and prioritize tasks based on their urgency and impact on safety. I've also developed techniques to minimize distractions and stay focused on the task at hand.
That demonstrates a systematic and thoughtful approach.
It does.
What are your go-to strategies, listener, for managing a busy workload and staying on top of things?
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you refine your answer. Their interview practice tool analyzes your responses and gives personalized feedback on things like clarity, conciseness, and how well you convey your skills.
That wraps up part 1 of our deep dive into helicopter pilot interview questions.
We covered a lot already.
We did.
But there's much more to explore.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll tackle even more challenging questions. And delve deeper into the insights from RoleCatcher's career guides.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome back to our deep dive into helicopter pilot interview prep. I hope you've got your thinking caps on because we're about to dissect some more challenging questions.
We're fired up and ready for part 2. We've already covered some essential questions about passion, staying current, and handling emergencies. Now we're going to delve even deeper into what interviewers are looking for.
And, of course, we'll continue drawing on the insights from RoleCatcher, that amazing career platform that uses AI to help you tailor your resume and practice your answers. Think of it as your personal interview coach.
All right, let's get back into those questions. What do we have next on our list?
This next question is a classic behavioral one. Can you describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision while flying a helicopter?
The dreaded behavioral question. These can always be a bit tricky.
The key here is to choose a situation that was genuinely challenging, but also highlights your ability to make sound decisions under pressure. Remember, the interviewer wants to see your judgment and your commitment to safety.
So should you tell a story about a near-crash experience or something really dramatic?
Not necessarily. It's more about demonstrating your thought process. Did you encounter unexpected weather, a mechanical issue, a sudden change in passenger needs? Focus on the steps you took to assess the situation, weigh your options, and ultimately make the best decision for everyone involved.
RoleCatcher's Helicopter Pilot Career Guide talks about the importance of risk assessment and having a safety-first mindset. I bet that's what interviewers are really looking for here, someone who can think clearly and prioritize safety even when things get tough.
Exactly. And be honest. It's okay to admit you face challenges as long as you can show how you learned from them and how they've made you a better pilot.
So what would be a good example of a difficult decision and how you approached it?
Here's a scenario. Imagine you're transporting a group of tourists to a scenic location when you encounter unexpected turbulence. The ride becomes rough and some passengers start to feel uneasy. Do you continue the flight as planned or alter your course for a smoother ride, potentially disappointing your passengers?
What's a tough call? What would you do?
In that situation, I would prioritize passenger safety and comfort. I'd explain the situation to the passengers calmly and professionally, assuring them that their well-being is my top priority. Then I'd assess the weather conditions, consider alternative routes, and make a decision that balances safety and the overall experience.
That shows you're considering all the factors and putting safety first, which is exactly what an interviewer wants to hear. Now, what are your thoughts, listener? What stands out to you about this question? How would you approach describing a challenging decision you made in a high-pressure situation?
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools can be incredibly helpful for practicing these behavioral questions. Their interview practice tool lets you record your answers and get personalized feedback on your delivery and content. It's like having a mock interview with an expert.
That's such a valuable resource. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How do you communicate effectively with air traffic control and other pilots while flying?
This one's all about demonstrating your understanding of communication protocols and your ability to convey information clearly and concisely, especially in a fast-paced environment.
RoleCatcher lists communication skills as one of the core competencies for helicopter pilots. They specifically mention speaking, active listening, and coordination.
Exactly. Those are the key elements the interviewer wants to hear about. They want to know you can follow procedures, relay information accurately, and even handle potential misunderstandings or emergencies calmly and professionally.
So what's a weak answer to this question? What should we avoid saying?
Don't just say, I'm a good communicator, or I follow instructions. Those are vague. And don't demonstrate a deep understanding of the complexities of communication in aviation.
So how can we provide a more insightful response?
Think about the specific protocols and techniques you use. Do you use standard phraseology? Do you repeat back instructions to confirm understanding? Do you maintain situational awareness and share relevant information with other pilots, especially in congested airspace?
So you might say something like, clear communication is vital for safety in aviation. I strictly adhere to standard phraseology and procedures when communicating with air traffic control, ensuring my messages are concise and unambiguous. I actively listen, repeat back instructions to confirm understanding, and never hesitate to ask for clarification if needed. When communicating with other pilots, I maintain situational awareness and share pertinent information, especially in congested airspace or during unusual events. I always strive for professional and respectful communication, even under pressure, as it's essential for maintaining a safe and collaborative environment.
That's a great example of a strong answer that highlights your understanding of communication protocols and your commitment to clear and effective communication. Now, what are your thoughts, listener, on effective communication? What makes for a successful exchange, especially in a high-pressure situation?
And let's not forget, RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools can help you practice your communication skills and refine your answers to these types of questions.
Absolutely. Their interview practice tool is like having a personal speech coach in your pocket. You can record your responses and get feedback on your clarity, tone, and pacing.
Okay, let's tackle the next question. How do you maintain situational awareness while flying a helicopter? This one seems pretty fundamental.
It's absolutely crucial. The interviewer wants to see if you have a solid understanding of what situational awareness means and how you apply it in the cockpit. It's about being vigilant, anticipating potential threats, and being proactive, not just reactive.
RoleCatcher emphasizes the importance of training and simulations for helicopter pilots, and I imagine that plays a big role in developing and maintaining strong situational awareness.
Absolutely. Regular practice in realistic scenarios can help hone those essential instincts and reflexes.
Now, what are some common pitfalls to avoid when answering this question? What makes for a weak response?
Don't just say things like, I pay attention or I look around a lot. Those are vague and don't showcase a deeper understanding of situational awareness.
So how can we give a more compelling answer?
Think about the specific techniques you use. Do you visually scan for other aircraft obstacles and terrain features? Do you monitor your instruments regularly? Do you communicate effectively with air traffic control and other pilots to gather information?
So a strong answer might sound something like this. Maintaining situational awareness is a continuous and active process that requires a combination of techniques. I use visual scanning to search for potential hazards, constantly monitoring my instruments to verify my position and the aircraft's performances. I also actively listen to air traffic control and other pilots gathering information that might affect my decisions. And I'm always mindful of my own physical and mental state, ensuring I'm well rested and alert to avoid complacency.
That's a great example of a response that demonstrates a multifaceted approach to situational awareness. Now, what are your thoughts, listener? What are some techniques you use to stay alert and aware, not just when flying, but in everyday life?
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools can provide personalized feedback on how you communicate your approach to situational awareness. Their interview practice tool can help you refine your answer and ensure you're conveying your skills effectively.
Absolutely. It's like having a virtual flight instructor analyzing your every move and giving you tips for improvement.
Okay, we're nearing the end of part 2, but we have one more crucial question to unpack. How do you manage risk while flying a helicopter?
This question is all about safety. The interviewer wants to assess your understanding of risk management principles and your proactive approach to mitigating potential hazards.
RoleCatcher's Career Guide really emphasizes continuous learning and staying up to date on the latest advancements in aviation technology. It seems like that's a crucial part of effective risk management.
It absolutely is. The more you know, the better equipped you are to identify and mitigate potential risks. Now, when answering this question, it's important to strike a balance.
What do you mean by that?
You don't want to downplay the risks of flying entirely, but you also don't want to come across as reckless or overconfident. The key is to acknowledge that flying has inherent risks while demonstrating your commitment to minimizing them.
So how do we find that sweet spot in our answer? What would be a good approach?
Think about your pre-flight planning process, your in-flight decision-making, and your overall safety mindset. Do you conduct thorough weather briefings? Do you carefully review aircraft maintenance records? Do you have a plan for dealing with potential contingencies?
So instead of just saying safety is important, you might say something like, risk management is an integral part of every flight. I start by conducting a comprehensive assessment of weather conditions, reviewing aircraft maintenance records, and identifying any potential hazards along my planned route. During the flight, I continuously monitor conditions and adjust my plan as needed to maintain safe margins. I'm never afraid to delay or cancel a flight if conditions deteriorate or the risk becomes unacceptable. Safety is always my top priority for myself, my passengers, and anyone on the ground.
That's a fantastic example of a response that showcases a safety-conscious and proactive approach to risk management. Now, what are your thoughts, listener? How do you approach risk management in your own life and work?
And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools can provide valuable feedback on your answer. Their interview practice tool can help you fine-tune your response and ensure you're communicating your understanding of risk management effectively.
It's like having a virtual safety expert in your corner, helping you prepare for every possible scenario.
We've covered a lot of ground in part 2, but we're not quite done yet. We still have a few more questions to unpack and some exciting insights to share about how RoleCatcher can help you prepare for your helicopter pilot interview. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive. Welcome back, listeners. It's time for the final approach in our deep dive into helicopter pilot interview prep.
We're about to land some key insights that could give you that extra lift when you're facing the interview panel.
You know, going through these questions with you has been like having a personal flight simulator for my interview skills. It's amazing how much goes into crafting strong answers that really showcase your abilities.
And remember, we've been drawing on the expertise of RoleCatcher, that incredible career platform that uses AI to help you refine your resume cover letters and practice your interview responses. It's a game changer for anyone serious about landing their dream job.
Okay, let's review the remaining questions on our pre-flight checklist. What haven't we covered yet?
We still have some interesting ones to discuss these questions, delve into your technical knowledge, your experience with different types of helicopters, and your commitment to staying updated in this constantly evolving field.
Speaking of staying updated, RoleCatcher mentions how rapidly advancements in helicopter technology are shaping the industry. It seems like you need to be a lifelong learner to keep up.
Absolutely. New navigation systems, communication devices, and even unmanned aerial systems are constantly emerging. It's an exciting time to be in aviation.
It definitely sounds like it. Okay, let's get back to those interview questions. Where did we leave off?
The next question on our list is, what is your experience with different types of helicopters?
Ah, yes. The interviewer wants to gauge the breadth of your experience and your adaptability to different aircraft. It makes sense that they'd want to know if you're comfortable flying a variety of helicopters.
Precisely, and this question is especially relevant if the job involves flying multiple helicopter models.
RoleCatcher mentions that some pilots choose to specialize in certain areas like emergency services or aerial photography, while others prefer a broader skill set. Do you think that's something worth mentioning in your answer?
Absolutely. Highlighting any specializations you have, especially if they align with the position you're interviewing for, can be a real asset. It shows you've thought about your career path and that you have specific interests and expertise.
So what's the best way to approach this question? Should we just list every helicopter we've ever flown?
Not necessarily. It's more effective to be strategic. Start by mentioning the types of helicopters you have the most experience flying, the total hours you've logged on each, and any specific skills or certifications related to those aircraft. Let's say you've spent most of your time flying the Robinson R-44 and the Bell 206. You could say something like, I've accumulated over 800 hours of flight time with the majority of my experience on the Robinson R-44 and the Bell 206. I'm also familiar with the Airbus H125 and have some experience flying the Sikorsky S-76 while I'm most comfortable on the R-44 and 206. I'm a quick learner and always eager to expand my skill set with proper training.
That clearly outlines your experience while also expressing your willingness to learn and adapt to new aircraft. It strikes a good balance between confidence and humility. Now, what are your thoughts, listener? Do you prefer specializing in a particular type of helicopter, or do you enjoy having a broader skill set?
And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can be a huge help when crafting your answer. Their resume analysis tool can identify relevant skills and experience based on the specific job you're applying for, helping you tailor your response to highlight the most important qualifications.
That's so helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's revisit that question about making a difficult decision while flying.
Oh, right. Can you describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision while flying a helicopter?
It feels like the interviewer is looking for a real-life example that demonstrates your thought process and your commitment to safety.
Exactly. They're not necessarily looking for a dramatic story about a near crash or a harrowing experience. The key is to choose a situation that was genuinely challenging and highlights your ability to make a sound decision under pressure.
RoleCatcher's career guide emphasizes the importance of risk assessment and adherence to safety protocols. It seems like those are the qualities the interviewer is hoping to see in your answer.
Absolutely. A common pitfall here is either choosing a situation that's too trivial or one that reflects poorly on your judgment. You want to find a balance, a situation that was challenging, but also showcases your ability to think clearly and make the right call.
So how would you recommend someone approach this question? What are some things to consider when choosing an example?
Think back to a time when you had to deviate from your original plan, perhaps due to unexpected weather, a mechanical issue, or a sudden change in passenger needs. Then focus on the steps you took to assess the situation, weigh your options, and ultimately make the best decision for safety and mission success.
What might a good response to this question sound like? Do you have an example?
Sure, let's say you were conducting a pipeline inspection flight when you encountered unexpected fog that reduced visibility significantly. You could say something like, during a pipeline inspection flight, I encountered a sudden bank of fog that reduced visibility to less than a mile. I had to decide whether to continue the inspection as planned or land and wait for the fog to clear. I quickly assessed the situation, considering the remaining daylight fuel reserves and the urgency of the inspection. I also consulted with my ground crew to get their input on the weather conditions. Ultimately, I decided to land at a nearby airstrip and wait for the fog to dissipate, prioritizing safety over completing the inspection on schedule.
That's a great example of how to structure your answer, showcasing your problem-solving skills and commitment to safety. Listener, what stands out to you about this question? How would you approach describing a challenging decision you had to make while flying?
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI-powered interview practice tool can be a huge asset when preparing for these types of questions. You can record your answers and get personalized feedback on your delivery content and how well you convey your thought process. It's like having a mock interview with an expert who can pinpoint areas for improvement.
We've navigated through some tough interview questions for aspiring helicopter pilots, explored the intent behind each one, highlighted potential pitfalls, and crafted compelling answers that showcase your skills and experience.
We've seen how RoleCatcher's incredible resources, especially their AI-powered tools, can be your secret weapon in acing those interviews. Their personalized feedback and tailored insights can give you a significant advantage.
Remember, confidence comes from preparation. So study those career guides, tailor your resume, practice those answers, and get feedback from RoleCatcher's AI.
And most importantly, never stop learning and growing. The aviation industry is constantly evolving. So stay curious, stay informed, and keep striving for excellence.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into helicopter pilot interview prep. We hope you found it insightful and helpful, and remember, the sky's the limit for those who are prepared to soar. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive for another adventure in knowledge and exploration.